Guys, in the last class, I had given a few programs. I think most of you have submitted it. I'm happy about it. I think only four are yet to submit. Um, I Any more need not submit because those marks will be zero anyway. Okay, so those are submitted. I'll be checking those code with respect to the test cases in HackerRank, and if all 10 test cases pass, I'll be giving you 10 points in that. Okay, and what we are going to do anymore is this, because I think project title I've asked from you, but I think none of you have seen into it because you've been busy with so many other things also. But anyway, if you are interested, please do take up a project. Otherwise, I'll be giving assignments like this, and I'll be calculating the overall like best of three or best of four assignments which I give, and I'll take them as the cumulative average for your third component, the assignment part. Okay. I don't prefer this, but then still, since there is no other way of evaluating you without giving a full-fledged project, I have given this way. Okay, but if you are interested, please do start or take up a topic in which you would like to work on, and maybe a website. Okay, nothing else, because this technology is web technologies. So I expect you to take up a project in which you can create a website using ASP.NET with the C Sharp. Okay, you can use ASP.NET MVC or ASP.NET normal one. Okay, anyway, even if you use .NET Core, not a problem, but you must be able to study it on your own, because in class I'll not be taking up .NET Core. I'll be taking up ASP.NET Web Application. Okay, so with today I'll be winding up with console applications in C Sharp. From the next class onwards, we'll be starting with web applications using C Sharp. Alright, so the last topic of today would be file handling in C Sharp. Okay, in .NET, it's a framework, as you know, which means almost all the logic part or the more low level plumbing details are taken care by the framework itself, which means your work is much less compared to other languages. That's the idea. Now in Java, you would use normally a file reader, and then you have input stream, you have a buffered reader, etc., etc. A lot of things are involved in Java. Java 8 has made it a little bit more simpler. If you go through the documentation, there are much more simpler ways in which you can handle files in Java. Okay, Python, you know, it's much more simpler. It's one line code of reading a file and writing a file and all those things. So let's see how .NET works with that particular part, and let me take up one or two programs with file handling. Okay, and this might be helpful if a company asks for file handling. Like for example, I think the company in Mangaluru Infotech, Unicode. Okay, their programs also have attached in that list of programs I asked you to try. If you see in that one also, they have almost all programs in the last sem. We have asked you, if you remember, in Python we told you to do everything as file reading and file writing. The reason was for you to get familiarized with that concept of reading contents from a file and then manipulating it and then writing contents into another file or a new file. Okay, all these things are a part of your program. It's not like there'll be a program only to read and write file contents. That's something which you learn, but in reality you will be reading contents from a file and then manipulating it and then writing contents into a file. Okay, more probably it might not be just text, it might be XML format, it might be something which is like comma separated values. Okay, there can be a lot of things you can do with text based, and the reason why people still use file based data storing is because it's much more faster, because it doesn't require a special software. Like for example, if you store a data in an Access database, a file, okay, you cannot access that data without the software called Microsoft Office. You cannot directly open that ADB or MDB or ACCDB file. But then when it comes to file reading, you don't require any special software. If it's a file, you can even open it with a notepad. Okay, a simple application can read contents of a text file. Okay, CSV is much more famous because of that reason. Anybody, any operating system, any simple language can still read a file, a text file, which has data in it. Okay, that's what we are going to see now. First, let me just create a simple .NET Core console application. Please note, for all my programs, I've used console application with .NET Core. Why I'm showing this is because it doesn't mean that there is no .NET I mean, normal .NET framework console application is not there, nothing like that. I just showed that there's no big difference between .NET Core and .NET framework in the console application part. Okay, the reason is the only difference between .NET Core and .NET framework, as I mentioned earlier, is the platforms. Okay, so if you say only Windows, then I can only use .NET framework, because .NET framework only works in Windows based applications. But when it comes to .NET Core, it works in Linux, Mac, anywhere you want. Okay, that's why we choose .NET Core. Since it is just console application, I'm choosing the .NET Core template. Okay, but for any more web application, I'll use .NET framework, not .NET Core. Okay, let me just begin. Console app .NET in C sharp. Let me just click on next. Let me just name it as file handling. Now what we are going to do is I am going to first tell you how to create a file and how to read contents from a file, how to write content into a file. Okay, all these things. Now please note, in Java also, when we handle with files, you cannot continue with just writing Java code. Instead of that, you need to import some packages, right? So here also it's a simple package, and the top you have using system. Let's add one more called using system.io. Okay, IO stands for, you already know, input and output. Okay, that's an important package which you require. Right now it's grayed out because you have not used it in the program anywhere. So let's start using it. So now what should I do? Okay, so there is a single line code for everything. Okay, in .NET that's much more helpful for us. There's one single line in which you can read the content, write the content, create a file, delete a file, whatever you want to do with the file. The file manipulation part all is inside this class called file. Please note, file comes from system.io.file. Okay, that's the class we are focusing on. There's a simple class called file. All right, that's all. From that file class, I can access a lot of static methods. Okay, when I say static methods, I need not create an object of this file. I can directly call class name dot method name. I hope you can see there are a lot of methods available there. I'm going to focus on a few things. The first method is exists, what they're showing. These are all starred methods which are commonly used and very important or featured methods of this particular class called file. Okay, so please note the first method exists. All right, it's a simple method which just takes a path where your file is located. Okay, please note I meant string path, which means within double quotes, you're supposed to give me a path, a file path in which your file is located, or maybe you're going to create that file, whatever it is. Okay, it can be UTF 16 code units. Okay, sequence of text. In other words, a small text file. It can be .csv, .txt. Okay, it cannot be any proprietary software like .pdf, .docx. You cannot use that because you need special softwares to open those. But if it's just text-based file, you can just give the path of that particular file. Now, please note this method just returns true or false, Boolean. Okay, so what does it mean? It means just it returns whether that file exists or not. That's a simple method. The next two is simple. As you read, you can understand it. First one is write all text. I want you to read the description which comes there. Okay, write all text. That's a method which returns nothing. Please note a method write all text returns void. It takes two parameters. Number one, where is the file? Number two, what content you want to write. That's all. Okay, and please note the description. It creates a new file. Okay, I'll just open it. Creates a new file, writes the specified string to the file, and then closes the file. This is all you need to understand from here. Write all text. Okay. For example, if you are taking input from the user, that user input will come as content, and you'll pass it to the path what you have created, string path, where the file is located. Please note something which will never change in all these methods is the path where that file is located. That will be common. So we'll be creating, I normally recommend you to create a variable only to hold the file name so that it can be reused again and again, because every method you'll see that same thing called string path. Now look at the next one, read all text. It's the reverse of that. Okay, here when you're reading something, you need not pass parameters. You just need to tell where is the file located, string path, which path you want me to read. So it opens that text file, reads all the text in the file, and then closes the file. Please note, you need not manually go and say file.close. It automatically closes it if you use these methods. And look at the return type. Return type is string. Okay, it returns whatever is there in the text file as a string. There can be numbers there, but it will not bother about it, because just like input types in almost all languages, here also the input is taken read as text only, even if you have stored numbers there. Okay, this is one, read all text. I think the next one is pretty much self-explanatory. It deletes that specified path file. Okay. Apart from that, there are a lot of other methods also. Okay. Apart from writing all text and appending all text, please note there's one more method called append all text. What do you mean by write all text and what is append all text? When you say write all text, please note if the file already exists, if the target file already exists, it is overwritten. I want you to understand this. If I say write all text, it creates a new file. Even if the file does not exist, it creates that new file, writes the text and then closes the file. If there is already content in that file, it is overwritten. That is write all text. So a little bit different would be append all text. Okay, append all text does the same thing, opens a file but does not create a new file or append, does not override what is there. Whatever is there is as it is. It just appends whatever you add to the file and then closes the file. If the file does not exist, this method creates a file. Okay, I hope you follow this. So I think only a few things I've spoken about: exist, write all, read all, append all. And also you can see there are other methods like copy, to create a text, to encrypt, to decrypt, to delete, okay, and to exist, and all those things. Get all these details about that particular file. You can move that file, open text, read all as bytes, read all as lines, read all as text. Lot of things are there. Lot of methods, or all static methods of that particular one class called file. So you can write everything in one shot in this particular code. So let's try to do that in C#. Now, first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to create a file, then write content into the file, and then read content from the file. Okay, let's do one by one. First thing, if you have noticed that in almost all those methods, all the static methods of the file class, what you saw is the path where that file is located. Now, I'm going to create a simple string called path. Okay, is equal to, I'm going to write it within double quotes where that path is located. Now, in order to understand this path, I want you to remember there are two types of paths available in all programming and all programming world actually. Absolute path and relative path. Can anybody tell me what is the difference between an absolute path and a relative path? Even if you don't have a definition, you can give me example of what is an absolute path and what is a relative path. Can you? What is an absolute path? Give me an example. Anybody there?
So absolute path is something that is absolute. Like you specify
Wow.
the drive, the folder, and the file name.
Okay.
In relative, you can just mention the file name. That's it.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, absolute path is relative from
Yes.
the computer's main location. So
Okay.
you go drive letter and then folder name, file name. While the relative path is relative to your current location where your .cs file is located.
Okay. Okay, guys, I guess all of you have got the idea what is an absolute path and relative path. Okay, that's very important in web technologies, guys. I do not have much to say about the desktop technologies. Okay, but when it comes to web applications, absolute path and relative path makes a big difference. Okay, I think you would have come across this when you developed web applications. Like say, for example, if you've used an image in your project, okay. Imagine that image is on the desktop. Okay, so the path what you will be using in the project would be C users your name desktop slash file name dot jpg. Okay, that full path which starts from the origin till the end. If any of those words are missing or if that folder is not existing, it returns an error. But when it comes to relative path, it just says from the place where the code is called, from the location where the code is called, I wanted to go to this particular location. Now, in my case, what I'm going to do is, yes, Savio, that's right. That is an absolute path. Okay, but when it comes to a relative path, I just say pics slash one.jpg. That's enough. From the program, so the program must be there in the place called pictures, so that I can directly call pics slash one.jpg. I'll talk about this more when we start web applications and accessing resources in web applications. But right now, let me just give a file name. Okay, just to make sure that you understand what is an absolute and relative path, I'm just going to type let me just type hello.txt. Okay. Now please note, I have just given a path called hello.txt. Please note, there's nothing in front, nothing after that, just the file name. So what path is this? If I just gave the file name without mentioning anything, what type of a path is this? What am I trying to achieve here? Absolute or relative?
Relative path. Relative path.
Relative. I hope you follow, right? So when I say relative, relative to what? Relative to the file which created it. Okay, I wanted to be very careful of what I'm saying here. Related to the file which created that particular hello.txt. Okay, the file which is going to create that hello.txt is nothing but program.cs. But please note, program.cs does not execute. Program.cs gets compiled. Okay, I'll show that in a short moment. But let me just write here. Let me in the next file, next line, I'll just say file dot. Let me not use any of those methods which automatically comes. Let me just write the word create. Okay, simple one. I just want you to create a file where in this path what I've given as the location. All right. Now, and after that, I'll just write a console.write line file created. That's all. Okay, so I've just written 3 lines here. You see what those are. First line, I've just told the file name. Second line, I said create in this particular path. Please note, I have not given a path. I just gave the file name. Now, I want you to recollect what we saw in the first class when we started with .NET applications. You write code in .cs, right? So this file is not going to get executed. So I said it's a relative path, which means hello.txt needs to be created in a particular place. Where is that going to be created? It is going to be created in the same place as the file which executed this code exists. I hope you get the logic. Okay. Hello.txt is going to get created in the same place as the file which created it or executed this line of code. Okay. Now comes the question. Which file will execute this code? Okay. I hope you got my question. I'm asking which file will execute this line of code? Which file? Physical file I'm asking. Which file would execute this code? Savio, you're right.
.exe, sir.
Yes, it is .exe. Okay, what about this .cs? It gets compiled. I need you to understand that, very important. Okay, the .cs file where you're writing this code, let me open that in Solution Explorer. This is the file we are talking, or the project we are talking to. Let me just right click on it and then say open folder in File Explorer. Okay, let me open the same folder in Explorer. Okay, I hope you can see what is there. There is program.cs. Okay, this is my program.cs. I want you to follow this very carefully. Now, all I am going to do is I am going to come out. Before that, everybody knows where the .exe file is located, right? This is .cs file. Where is the .exe file located? Anyone remembers? CS file runs, is here, but when I execute this, all the CS files which I have in my project are compiled or assembled into one .NET assembly. Okay, where will I find that bin? Inside the bin folder, inside debug folder, I'll have my .NET application. But let me just open that and see whether anything is there right now. There is nothing here right now. I hope you follow why. Because I've never run this program. Okay, so let me go back to the project. So you have program.cs. Let me go back to my program and let me run the program now. The first time we are running this program. So let me just run. If there is any error or exception, my project will stop and I'll be able to see the exception because I'm still running in Visual Studio. That's why I didn't write try catch. But when you're giving it to the user, you have to use exception handling. Anyway, you can see the output now. File created. That's all it's showing because it's come to the third line. First line got executed, second line got executed, third line got executed. That's why I got file created. Let me just come out of this. Let me go back to that same place where you have opened. Now you see I am in the place where program.cs is there. Okay, but I'm not able to find that hello.txt, what your system or the program just created. So let me go into bin debug. Okay, you have .NET Core app. Let me open that. Okay, here is my exe file. File handling.exe. when I run this program, we just created a hello.txt. It automatically got created here. Please note it is 0 KB. What does it mean? Because it's empty. It's just creating a hello.txt file. That's all. Okay, so please remember this. It's just a simple text file created through your code by file handling.exe. Since this is the code which executed it, the file also got created in the same place as the one which called it or which created it. This is a relative path. It's not an absolute path. It just says wherever you're executing this file handling.exe, there create hello.txt. Now let me just write something into that file. Okay, please note file about .create is not required in most of the programs. Reason is because you can even write without creating a file. If I just write like this, okay, let me go back to that same folder. Sorry. Okay, here let me just delete that hello.txt. Now please note I don't have that file here. Let me go back to the program and say instead of file.create, I'm going to write file.write all text. Okay, and I need to give the path, so I'll call the path, and right now let me just put blank string, nothing. All right, so this is my code. I hope you can see this. Okay, instead of writing create, I am writing write all text, and I gave the path, and double quotes you can give the content. Let me just say hello from C#. Let me just write simple content. Okay, so I'm saying write all text. Please note that file does not exist here. The file is not there here in this particular folder. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm creating a path called hello.txt, and I'm saying write all text into this path, and what text I want to write this text. So let me run the program. File created, it's showing. Let me just come out. Let me go to that same project location. Now you see there's a hello.txt just created now, and you can see it's 1 KB, which means some content is there. Let me open that and see that the content which I wrote from my code is available in this particular file now. All right, this is write all text. Now let me come back, and here. Now I'm going to append one more text. Okay, so if I let the hello from C#, let it be there. Now I'm going to say write file dot append all text, and the same path I'm going to say okay, let me just say ASP.NET, something like that. Just some content. Okay, first one you're writing something, then you're appending text to that same file. Let me just click on file handling. It just said created. Let me come out. Let me open that hello.txt. You can see that after hello from C#, ASP.NET got appended to it. If you want to come in the next line, you should use that /n and all those things. Okay. So anyway, this is how you write a file. This is how you append a file. Now let's read whatever is there in that file into our program. So how do I do that? Okay, so I can store that into a string variable. That's my wish. Okay, so let me just create a string variable called result is equal to file dot read all text. From where? From that path what you have created. That's all. So now everything is there in result, and let me just concatenate this string and let me print that result. Okay, now let's run the program. Now you see, without even going to that file, I can get hello, file created. That's the text which was already there. Hello from C# and ASP.NET, that came from the file. So that we have taken it from the input which is given to us. So I guess you get this idea. Now, what if I wanted to delete this? Okay, I can write that the last line. I can just say, 1 minute. Yeah. I can just say file dot delete. Okay, and you need to pass the path. That's it. Now let me run the program. It will open the file, it will create the file, append the file, and read all text, print it, and then delete it. Now let me go back to that project folder, and you see that the text file is not available here. Okay, these are the simple file operations which we can do with C#. Now let's do a simple program with this file. Now let's say that I have a comma separated value. I think that's the program given to you for I think for practice. I think that program is given. Okay, let me just take that program. If you see all these programs, okay, I think you would have read this. All programs are based on file. inputs will be given as a file and output must be stored as a new file with corresponding file name as given. Okay, so you can see that it is much more simpler, right? So I'll just take the last program which was there. I guess this was given by Unicode. Okay, this was the question. You are given input file, input digits p1.txt and input words p1.txt. Okay, which contains comma separated random integers. Part 1 was just take the numbers and then create a file with the name of sum of odd numbers and sum of even numbers, like that. Okay, so let's do the simple program. That's much more simpler. Okay, let me just take only the integer part. String part, I think you can do it. Okay, so that you can try on your own when you have time. Now let me just create a new file. Okay, let me not create it through the code. This is given to me. So let me create it in the same place as the exe file of my project. Okay, you can even give a absolute path, guys. It's not a problem. I'm just going to say input underscore digits underscore p1.txt. This is what the users, the company gave. So let me just take the same numbers. Let me take this, put it here and save it. Okay, I hope you can see this. This is what the company gave. Input digits p1.txt and they gave a list of numbers. It's there inside this text file. Let me close that. And once they have given that text file, I have put it in the same place as my exe file. If it is Java program, I would have written in the same place where my class file is located. If it is NetBeans project, then you'll have to put it in a different folder because NetBeans works in the Ant package manager way. So it will be a little bit different if you use NetBeans. But if you're using simple Java program, you'll put it in the same place where your .class file is located, not where .java file is located. Okay, remember that part. Now let me go back to the program. Let me write it from the beginning. Okay, so okay, let it be there. Let me just keep the first line. Path. Path is equal to what? Whatever they have given as the file name. Okay, please note, you cannot change this word. You have to use whatever they have given. So let me just use this. Okay, so first let me see whether I'll be able to read that. This is the first thing we need to do. Instead of writing all the code first and then seeing that the file is not read, you can simply write this code and say console dot write line. I'll just call file and then say read all text from that path. Let's see whether this works first, then we will proceed. Okay, so let me just run and see whether I'm getting all the numbers which I've inputted in that text file. So this is what the company gave. So I've got this number and it's a comma separated value. All right. So I'm getting the value. Now what should I do with this comma separated value? Okay. So first thing I need to do is take that string and then split it into a string array, because right now it is coming as a comma separated value. One string it is coming as. So let me just take it as string of let me say digits is equal to, okay, I cannot take it as one string because I'm already getting it as string. Let me take it as an array of string. Okay, why am I taking it as a string array instead of a number array? Because I want to take it as string array, then parse it into a number. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to call file dot read all text. Please note, read all text returns only a string, but you want a string array. So let's do that. I'm going to say the path. Let's stop with that. Now this thing returns a string. So I can just say dot split. Split with what? Split with a comma. Done. Now in one line we have finished. We have taken whatever the user has entered or the company people have given in that file, and I took that as a string and I split it using comma. Okay. Now what if they tell you not to use inbuilt functions? Okay, please note file.readAllText or these things are not inbuilt functions in C#. They are these are the standard functions, like how you have fopen and how you have file reading commands in Python. They allowed you to use that, so it's not a problem. Okay, so you have taken it and you have split it using a comma. Okay, now the next thing is I want to convert this array into a number array, because the question is to get the sum of even numbers and sum of odd numbers. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to write let's create this integer array, okay, called numbers is equal to new int array. I don't know the size. I can get the size from the digits method or string array dot length. Done. So you've got whatever they gave into a string array, and I'm going to convert them into an integer array. How do I do that? For. You can use for each also. Okay. Or you can just use for, whichever you feel comfortable with. Let me just use for I equal to 0. I is less than digits dot length I plus plus. What you're going to do? I'm going to call numbers of I is equal to int dot parse each and everything in the string array, which means digits of I. I hope this code is clear. Okay, all I have done is taken the input from the user from that file and converted whatever he has entered is in a comma separated value into an integer array by this line. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, let me just see whether I've got everything right. Let me delete this. Let me just put a for each and say for each integer item in collection. Which collection? Collection is that numbers array. Let me just print that and see whether I've got it right. Console dot write line item. Let's keep it like this. Let me run the program and then check whether I'm getting one number in each line. This is my requirement. I got it. I got all the numbers in one line, which means that this is coming from this array, which means all the numbers what they gave are right now in this numbers array. Very simple. So now I need to do one thing. I need to take all the integers. Okay, I mean, I've got all the integers. I need to find out which and all are odd and which and all are even. If they are odd, I'm going to add it to a number. Okay, and if they are even, I'm going to sum those into another number. So instead of printing this, let me just write two things: int odd sum and even sum. Let me just create two integer values. Okay, now let me just write for each int item in numbers. It's a simple one. If item mod 2 is equal to 0, which means it's an even number. So all I'm going to do is even sum plus equal to item. Okay. I hope by now you understood why this error is coming here. The error is coming because you have created an unassigned local variable. To fix that, all I need to do is initialize them to 0. That's it. It goes away because this is a condition, right? So there is a full chance that even sum will never be assigned and it will be always blank. So it's always recommended to put some value. Now, else, what should I do? Else odd sum plus equal to item. Okay. Now, before we write it into the file, let me just check whether it is right or wrong, or we are getting a particular answer what we are looking for. So let me just write console dot write line odd. Let me just put odd sum and even sum. Fine. Let's run this program and see whether we get a whole number there. Okay, odd is 63 and even is 82. I'm not sure whether that's the answer they're looking for. Yeah, 63 and 82. So you've got 63 as the odd sum numbers and even is 82. This is the output they're expecting, and they want you to create a file with this name and store that there. So let's do that. How do I do that? Okay, so for that purpose, let me stop this. So how do I write this sum into that particular file? It's much more simpler now because you just need to write the text into that particular file. Very simple. I can write file dot write all text. Okay, in that path? No, not in that path, because they have told a particular file name. So let me go back and find what is that file name. The file name they want is sum of odd numbers .txt. So let me just take that file. This is the path in which you would like to write. Second one, what would you like to write? I want odd sum. Okay, since it's a number, it is not allowed, or there's an error there because they are expecting a string. All I need to do is just concatenate that with double quotes. Nothing inside, just concatenate, so that the system understands that it is not plain number, but rather it is a string. That's all. Same thing, I'm going to write one more, file dot write all text. Okay, within double quotes, I'm going to take the same name what they have given, sum of even numbers .txt, comma, even sum plus. Why I'm putting plus is because I want to make the compiler understand that it is a number, but right now I'm gonna, because the parameter expected here is string, so I'm passing it like this. That's all. Okay, let's just check whether it works. I'm not printing anything, so nothing will be printed out. So if you want, you can just put a console dot write line and say done, just for our understanding. Now please note, in Java, in almost all the programming languages, they would have told you to close the file object after using it or after creating it. But if you see here, there is a big difference between other languages and C# here, because C# automatically does that for you. If you see, for example, I'm writing write all text, right? So you can see the description which is given. I'll just read it once again. It creates a new file, writes the specified string to the file, and then closes the file. Okay, this is one huge advantage for you because you need not manually say file.close. All right, so that's the thing. Let me just check whether it works. Okay, I just need the output as done. Let me go back to that place where the output is come. Okay, this is the one which they gave. They gave input digits like this. We took this and then we gave sum of even numbers. We got 82 and sum of odd numbers 63. We have got the output as they have asked. Okay, so this is a file handling project, and if you see part 2 of that, don't think this easy question and all they gave, but then this is just the first line, first part of that particular program. Second part of the program was to read the word separated by a comma. Again, you can do this on your own. Apple, ball, cat, split it with comma, and then read the words from input words P1 and generate below output using the digits read. Just concatenate this with that. Okay, for every item which is there in that input digits, you're concatenating that with input words. That's all, and save the final output as final output.txt. This is the program which they have given. So you can see that how easily you can do that in .NET if you have understood the logic. Okay, so I think with this we will stop for today. These are file operations. I would like you to continue the program and try to do these programs on your own with the file. Okay, these are all file based applications. You can see this 7th program also is something like that. Okay, I'm not going to give this as assignment, but then you can try it on your own. This is something, it's a CSV file. Okay, is it okay if I use a CSV file? Yes. Okay, it will still read because it's also a text file. Okay, it's a program which is given you an input file. So this will be stored in the file. You will have to do all these operations. Okay, so please do try this on your own. Not only this, there are a lot of other programs also with the file. They have given the input as file operations and you will be giving output using file operations. So please do check these programs when you get time, and with that we'll stop for today. If you have any questions, please do ask. Otherwise, please wait till I finish the attendance and then we can discuss.